Welcome to Horror Movies with Friends. I'm your host, Andy Green, aka Wolfmandy Screame, at least for another, 18 days. That's right.
Yes,
we have
that's
reached
math.
day 11, and that was math that I did. 31 minus 11. And now I'm like, wait, that's not
No,
right.
no, it was math.
But I don't think it was accurate math. And this woman over here is one of 31 guests this month, and these are two of drink pairings, 31 drink pairings, and we have 31 horror movies that we are discussing when we're doing it for charity, the Trevor Project. There's information below. And before we go any further, I have to introduce my esteemed guest, AJ Refson. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna introduce you as book nerd, dog lover, activist, hero, college buddy. Which is
that's all very generous.
Yeah, and then I didn't. I just said your name. But so I'm just I did a post intro.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Ooh, did we hear Blondie crying?
Oh, pobrecita. Brisket is over here just chomping away. I wish I didn't have my headphones on when you howled, though, because I think you would have engaged with that. We'll have to try that again.
Oh, well, at the end, we'll do it. AJ, what movie did I force you to watch today?
It wasn't a force, because I'm not I am a little adverse to gore, which is funny because I work in emergency situations and actually am really good at responding when I see blood in action, but if it's on the screen, I pass out. So I actively chose something that I knew was not going to be that. We watched Full Moon High, right? It's still not Werewolf High. Yeah.
It's not Werewolf High.
It's still not Wolfmandy High. It is Full Moon High, which was so up my alley because I love a bad, I'm not even gonna call it B-list. It was a good C-list comedy.
That's the highest of compliments. This movie is a 1981 wolf comedy, very campy. Blondie is crying still. He was not a fan. Give me one moment.
No, that's enough. I didn't. This is my own fault.
This is accurate to the movie, though. This movie is bananas. This movie is like Airplane or Naked Gun, but with werewolves. That's how I would describe it.
Yeah. But then I every time it would move to a new scene, I'd be like, actually, I know that actor. Oh man, that is an Academy Award winning actor who is playing, not to get ahead of the plot, but the worst therapist of all time.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, so that is Alan Arkin, the father of Adam Arkin, who plays Tony, the werewolf.
Yes.
Yep. And so, and then we also have, let's just say we have Bob Saget in here. We have Ed McMahon.
Mr. Miyagi has a cameo.
Oh, yes, Mr. Miyagi. Yeah, this movie, I think it's great. It is directed by Larry Cohen. I think I already said that. He is a favorite of mine because of the movie The Stuff, which is great.
Okay.
I highly recommend it. And It's Alive, I also recommend. Basically, demon baby movie.
Ooh, love it. And not quite Rosemary's Baby.
It's more like this. This movie is on Paramount Plus, but with a caveat. All right. You can't type in the full name, right? How did you find it?
You can literally just type in full.
It's
not the full name, it's just full.
If you go any further than that, if you're too good at your job searching, you will not find it on Paramount Plus. That is the conflict that we had this afternoon.
Or else you panic text Andy of can I still do this without watching this movie?
And you probably
told me yesterday.
You probably could have, actually. I could have just told you the movie. I think we all knew what the movie was, but I thought it was even weirder than I expected. But yeah, if you want,
I love for camp's sake, and this was high camp. How are there not drag queens like performing this line for line?
I don't know. But like, and it's also kind of a satire. Like we're
Yes.
satirizing America. I mean, a lot. The whole movie is that, but basically
Yes.
jocks, high school, football. Yeah. Like the beginning.
Other horror movies.
Yes. Other horror movies. And I think everyone's basically the butt of a joke in this movie. I think, you know, they definitely have a lot of homoeroticism in here.
I mean, literally the opening number is just Bob Saget in a locker room shower. So.
And you have to see that. The people need Bob Saget in a shower.
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't the worst looking.
No, no, it just, you know, I had to rewind it to confirm, like, oh yeah, that's like the guy from Full House.
Well, it was funny because I was like, wait, is that because he's in the football scene right before it? And I didn't get a huge glimpse. I was like, wait, is that Bob Saget? And then it like confirmed that he's naked in front of me.
Yes.
It's the best way to confirm that someone's in the movie.
And then he's also the old man sportscaster at the end.
Yes, he is exactly that. Well, because we have a time jump in this movie.
Yes.
Of 20 years that was pretty jarring, but this movie's pretty jarring.
Which again, I had to rewind it to be like, did I miss something? Or like, okay, so we've stolen a bus and the bus is in the future.
The bus driver's great, and also the cab driver, he's a great character. But we're actually jumping.
Oh, and he's from Sanford and Son too.
Oh, he is. Okay, that's awesome. But before we get any further, I think we're so excited.
I know.
We haven't even had the beer yet, AJ.
I know.
So let's have the beer.
Brisket is with you know, with the cat. The pets did not enjoy this movie.
It was for the pets.
I know.
And they just didn't understand it. It was over their head. But let's. So AJ actually is the one who provided these drinks. The first of a friend to send me a nice care package and provide. So I'm very excited. What do we have first? We have two like autumnal ales.
Yes.
Beers, and I just wanted to say autumnal as many times as we can.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, especially when we're discussing the full moon, it has to be an autumnal setting.
Of course.
The first one is Leaf Pile, which I had for the first time like 5 or 6 years ago at the Queen's Beer Fest, and definitely like smuggled a 6-pack out of the beer festival that we were not supposed to take.
Okay, I was gonna say, does that mean you just stole beer? Okay, cool.
Well, I feel like you have paid for the beer, right? You're just not supposed to take it in that quantity at one time.
Oh, it's kind of like when you're at a buffet and you like bring food out.
Like it exactly. Like you are definitely not supposed to get a doggy bag from a Chinese buffet, but like if I'm at Hard Walk Cafe, what am I gonna do? I'm obviously gonna take spare ribs home. So
that's a reference that I don't get, but I get it at the same time. You always bring spare ribs home. That is the lesson of Full Moon High and AJ's existence.
I don't know how that's not a joke on Mrs. Maisel yet. That's all I have to say. But it's from Greenport Harbor, which is a local brewery out in the Hamptons, I think. But it's definitely like, I do not like, I don't know, you and I have talked about this, that like I love sweetness in beers, especially in like sours, but I can't do it in an autumnal beer. Like I don't want that pumpkin spice that like, because I feel like it always goes too much, that it doesn't just taste like pie anymore, it tastes like diabetes. And I think that this is one of the good ones, that like this actually is like very mellow, and you also still remember you're drinking a beer, which like I want to be outside at Cortica, like now being an alumni, being like, yeah, I graduated 10 years ago, but I can still hang and I can afford a better beer. And this is the beer I'm drinking.
And this is the beer you're drinking. Okay. Let's open it up. It's a 5.2% ABV Leaf Pile Ale. And let's get this.
Its descriptors, if anyone is curious, is literally harvest, pumpkin, cozy.
Oh, let's get cozy.
Autumn in a glass.
All right. I've learned that pouring is hard for camera. So I'm going to try to do it here. Oh, got it. I did it. That was the best pour I've ever done.
And that's how you know I work at a bar.
Look at that. Oh, you got like a martini glass. All right.
Yeah, one of Mark's co-teachers got us a set of like vintage 1920s cocktail glasses for our engagement. So I use them as much as possible.
I don't blame you. Yeah, this is a part of a sampler tray that my dad actually made for me for Christmas. Like,
Oh, cute. I
made,
love that.
yeah, he made like the wood thing. If I had a bigger table and bigger setup, I would have included the whole thing. But we're only having two.
Yes.
This is a
Which
short.
I love that part of your care package also included a beer for your dad. So this is just full circle, full moon, if you will.
Ooh, a full moon. Oh man.
Cheers, friend.
Yeah, cheers. Salud. All right, we got the pumpkin nose. This is
I hope it didn't get flat in the mail.
I will say it kind of tastes flat in the mail.
Okay.
But like I get the pumpkin, I get the the nutmeg, the spices, the ginger.
Good.
But yeah, it's not sweet at all. It's sort of, to me, I don't know if it's the flatness, but it sort of is almost a little bit watery. But like that probably isn't, I don't know. How does it hit your tongue?
Oh, I mean, it's definitely like, I feel like often when it's a pumpkin beer, it has like a lot of viscosity to it. And this doesn't have that, which I think is why I like it better, because I don't mind drinking more than one of them. Like,
okay, yeah.
I like always love like the Southern Tier Pumpkin, like classic, so good, sneakily will ruin your life because they're 8%, but it's heavy, and I don't feel that way about this. It's not a heavy beer.
This is it's a leaf pile. It says it in the name, right?
It's cozy.
It's playful. You jump in it, and it's it's messy, but not as messy as the Southern Tier that you're saying.
It's like the well-worn sweater of beers.
The well-worn sweater of beers. I enjoy it. And it says live deep on here. Let's live deep. Let's go a little bit deeper in and deeper into Full Moon High.
Yes.
Were you in from the beginning, or did it take you a bit to like sort of get on the frequency of this?
I think I'd say it took me about 5 minutes to get into it, and specifically when the two main characters are, well, not the two main characters, but the main character, Andy, right? The wolf.
Tony,
sure, you're Andy.
I'm Andy.
You're Wolfmandy, not to be confused with Tony the Wolfman.
We share a lot in common, me and Tony. Yeah.
I mean, your facial hair is significantly better than what that wolf was trying to pull off. But
oh yeah, I don't need werewolf makeup.
No, when Tony and his dad, the classic Ed McMahon, are flying to Romania for a CIA mission to teach people in Romania, specifically prostitutes, about the Monroe Doctrine. I mean,
clearly just for his dad to fuck.
No, yeah, just for his dad to fuck. But that, like, there was like so many like multi-layers of jokes there, but the fact that they then went absolutely full camp, and instead of having like a travel scene is literally just a fucking toy airplane, and they show it over a paper map and they just slam it down on Yugoslavia, I was like, that's it, I'm in. You don't care, and that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, he only cares about
I respect a budget.
Yeah, the budget. We always respect the budget. Yeah, I think I was in pretty much immediately, like when the grunting of the football players at the song at the beginning sounded like werewolf grunts. And I'm like, okay, that's playful. That's fun. I get it. But it was actually when Ed McMahon is just like, you've had a tough life. And Tony's like, why? And he's like, everything's okay. And he's like, well, you don't have a mom for one.
Oh my God, I know. I felt so terrible laughing at that. It's like, well, what about that lady who used to take me to the beach? Well, that's the maid. And what about that lady I walked in on you on? Still the maid.
Ed McMahon was a piece of shit. Great. He was great. He did feel like Leslie Nielsen to me. I don't know who came first on that. But like, yeah. And then he was like, oh yeah, I have a secret CIA mission. You're going to go to Romania. And it's like, okay, that's how he's going to get a wolf. And like,
And
Oh,
I don't know if you do the same thing that I do, but a recent trick that I've learned, I have like pretty bad ADHD and I cannot focus on a movie. And it took until recently that I started watching movies with closed captioning that I'm now able to like have, I guess, multi receptions of the sound so I can hear it, read it, I can absorb it much better. And I'm definitely rewinding a lot less, but also it's like the kind of ADD that like I have to rewatch scenes over and over again because I'm too busy trying to remember what I last watched Ed McMahon in. So I'm on IMDb looking at that. And then I've gone down a deep, dark hole on IMDb of like Tonight Show guests. So having the closed captionings helps with that. But this like weird thing about the closed captioning on this that I was obsessed with was that they spelled Romania with a U. So it's Romania. And there was just like something very like Cold War about that I loved.
Romania.
Romania.
Yeah, that was sort of how it's pronounced with all the terrible accents in this movie.
Yes.
You carry the curse of the pentagram.
I've always wanted to go to the Pentagon. Pentagram, stupid. Oh, what shape is that?
There were moments in this movie that I was like, I am actually surprised that this was made in 1981 because the satire of Cold War activities, like when they're doing the air raid drill and they're all like with their heads under the desk, like that wasn't funny then. That was like, they were really still doing that in some places in the United States in classrooms. And like the fact that there was literally a joke of like, your head is supposed to be between your own knees during this activity. I was like, wow, like that must have been like really, really bold at the time.
That was a good joke too.
It was
and
a great, yeah.
I also really love that, like the coach or whatever teacher, he sort of plays every role in this movie as
Yes.
like he's the principal too.
Principal, sex ed teacher, football coach.
Yeah, and sort of effeminate the whole time. Always licking his lips as he watches men do things.
Yep.
But like in that, I don't think it like the queerness was like the butt of the joke. It's sort of everyone is the butt of a joke of this movie. And it was sort of like in 1981, this actually felt like, I don't know, maybe in good taste. I'm not sure about good taste, but it didn't feel offensive to me.
There were a few jokes, particularly around the teacher, because, and maybe I don't know if Lily felt the same way as Mark because they're both teachers, but Mark was like not having it with the teacher jokes.
Oh no, the teacher stuff was rough, but it was also like, this was a horrible school. You're talking about like Miss Montgomery, who comes and basically has been fired from a bunch of places because like,
I believe it was 6 schools in 4 years, including, and she was quote unquote sexually assaulted in all of them, including by disabled elementary school girls. And that was both of us. I was like, this is 81. This is 81.
Yes.
And also because they dress her to look like she has just left like a nunnery. There was definitely some like Catholic school teacher in a public school vibes going on there.
Yeah. And you're right. That I think is probably the only sort of unfortunate, well, I'm sure there's more, but that was sort of a black eye in this movie. And then she ends up being sort of the mom of wolf pups at the end and like gets turned.
Yeah. And I couldn't tell if like I was uncomfortable with it because at that point, like you're in the future, right? So like Tony is actually like 38 at that point. So it's not terrible that he's like having an adult relationship, but he's also still in like a 17-year-old body. And like, it's still playing into that trope of like hot for teacher that was like so cool in the 80s movies.
Yeah, it's not cool. And
can you clarify? And like, maybe I'm like spoiling this. Did he kill her? Like, is that how she gets turned into a werewolf? Because when he's talking to the blonde girl, I'm clearly terrible at character.
Oh, no. Ricky. And Ricky's a hero.
Yes.
Love Ricky. I'll talk about Ricky in a second.
Yeah.
But to answer, I can answer your question.
Ricky, he's like, Ricky, I finally, like, I went all the way. I went all the way with this one. And it was like, but in the previous scene, when they were talking about it, they were like, okay, well, you haven't had sex and you also haven't killed people. So like, did you have to have sex to turn her? Or did you have to murder her to turn her? Or like, ¿por qué no los dos? Why not both?
I think it's por qué los dos. I think it's the joke that the joke is that all the way is obviously a colloquial term for fucking.
Yes.
But basically, oh, I've never killed anyone. And then the next scene or whatever, he does end up going all the way with the teacher. And I think that does mean that, because they made a whole joke about it, and I really liked it, that they were like, playful nipping continues, and like that he just sort of, for 20 years, is only biting people's butts, basically.
Yes. That was like one of the details I loved the most, that it was like all of the hot, like the headlines about how he's terrorizing the neighborhood, but it's actually like, werewolf annoys its neighbors.
Yeah, it's very low stakes, this movie. Even when it's the werewolf terrorizing a town, no one has died. And I guess in this world, when you get bitten by the werewolf, you're not turned for whatever reason. Normally that's all it takes, but I guess you have to get bit a certain amount of times or go all the way with someone. So,
and like also like, I think different than like traditional werewolf lore, like he was turning into a werewolf every night rather than just on the full moon. So like his whole life was scheduled around like 6:30 and later.
I think that was one of those things where it might have been every month. We just kept zooming through,
like time jumping,
because it was just like, it's another full moon. It kind of just, and it was also called full moon high.
Full moon high,
So maybe it just was always a full moon there. I sort of got that vibe too.
Okay.
Where it's just like, this world doesn't necessarily make sense in a traditional sense, but it works for this movie because it was just like this 20-year blur going by of him biting, and then we're like, oh, now we're in 1981 or whatever year we are, 78 or whatever they were saying. But yeah, I think that's how I took it. Whereas like, he needed to go a little bit further with Miss Montgomery, and it was sort of furthering the fact that like, he was attracted to teacher. So not great. I will point out at the end, there's like a portrait of him and her and the wolf pups. And then there's just one dude. There's like a bunch of just werewolf pups. And then there's like an old man baby. And that old man baby is actually a caricature of Larry Cohen, the director.
That's hilarious.
I only knew that after I looked him up on IMDb, and I was like, because I wanted to see if he was alive and if I could reach out to him, because I just appreciate this man. I
thought that was a great callback too, because earlier when he's like visiting the grave of his father, he's like, I don't even know if I can have kids, Dad.
Yes.
And then he clearly does at the end. But I wanted to ask you, because I didn't get a chance to look it up. Did this movie come out before or after Carrie?
Okay.
It definitely came out.
I thought you were going to ask about before Teen Wolf, and it did. It came out before Teen Wolf, and they're like, oh, we can do this movie, but like sort of take it a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, there's the obvious like Psycho reference where Tony's in the shower and Ricky comes at him with the knife and turns the water on and is stabbing him. But I also was
after
thinking
Carrie.
Okay, so that makes sense then. When he's at the grave of his father and he's like talking about him, he's like, all right, Dad, see you later. And he puts his hand down and his dad's hand like comes through, and the joke is like, don't be such like a clingy parent. But that I thought was like a direct reference to Carrie at the end of the movie, when Carrie reaches out from the grave and like grabs the other character's elbow.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely A+. That, you know what that means? That unlocks number 2. We're here.
Hey, come back here. Aren't you gonna bury me? I mean, even a bone gets buried.
So what do we have for behind door number 2 or can number 2?
Yeah, this is from Five Boroughs, which is another New York-based brewery. It's actually based in Brooklyn, near Sunset Park, for anyone who is New York City neighborhood savvy. It is a fairly generic pumpkin beer. So
have you had it?
No, I haven't. So we'll try this one together.
That's a great tag.
Well, it just says ale brewed with pumpkin, cinnamon, nutmeg, and allspice. So that feels like a pumpkin ale. That
feels like on the same wavelength as the other one. Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
There's your pour shot. Andy, fun fact for you. Did you know that a majority of things, because of some weird Food and Drug Administration rule, that claim to be pumpkin are actually butternut squash?
I feel like someone has
told you this before, it probably was me.
It's just like AJ every time I talk to you. It's like, Andy, did you know the FDA?
It's like, so the last few years, everyone in my family for their birthday has gotten red velvet cake. And every time it comes up, I'm like, well, did you guys actually know that red velvet cake is just chocolate and it's oxidizing in buttermilk? And my brother is like, we get it. You read.
Well, I do love red velvet as well. But I really appreciate that. Cause yeah, I know it's not a real, like it's, yeah.
It used to be real. It used to be the cocoa powder and buttermilk, and that would turn red. But now it's just chocolate with red food dye.
Oh, okay. So we need to bring it back. All right.
It doesn't smell like anything.
It smells like the same. Like, I mean, I get the.
Yeah, it's an ale.
Hmm.
It also doesn't have that viscosity that we were talking about earlier of like a more traditional pumpkin beer, but I don't hate that. But to me, I also think it just tastes, I don't taste a lot of the like warm spices.
Sort of normal. Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it definitely is an ale. Like, well, I guess they're both ales, but this one, I mean, to me, it's like your color looks a way oranger than mine. Mine looks like almost a lager.
Well, maybe it's just the lighting.
Yeah, it might be the lighting. Maybe
I went for like a moody lighting, you know.
Yeah, no, I know. Like Full Moon High is a very moody.
Yeah,
song.
exactly.
Yeah, that's why I wore this shirt. It's the most ridiculous thing I could think of. It seemed like something Ed McMahon would have worn at one point.
Absolutely.
Or Flynn,
especially when he's like hiding in the bunker that he has under his house.
When he kills himself with the bullet, that was the true moment where I was like, "This movie's great." And the funeral scene where, we're here to honor this dead person. Yep. I just thought that was hilarious, and like the bird, like the soldiers keep shooting and killing birds, or just
Please remove this crow and or falcon from the coffin.
Yes, and oh man, yeah, it was glorious. It's like obviously a crow, yeah, or I think he said blackbird because we couldn't be sure it was a crow. But yeah, I like the absurdity of this movie. There's no serious thing in it other than, I mean,
I feel like you can't expect it to be serious if literally the opening scene is Bob Saget naked. So.
And this is before it that has aged really well.
Well, especially, have you ever seen the documentary, The Aristocrats?
Of course.
Yeah. So especially knowing like that he is actually truly a filthy individual. Now, like this actually has helped me separate him from Full House a little better.
Yeah, Full House, Full Moon High. He just had a lot of full things on there.
He looks so young though. And like, obviously it was 1981, but like, I was like, wow, I don't think I've ever imagined what he looked like as like a youth.
Yeah, sex symbol, Bob Saget. And I actually wanted to bring up that this is ahead of its time for other reasons. So not only was it ahead of Teen Wolf, which this is so clearly in the same sort of vein in a lot of ways. It is before Thriller. And there's a wolf dance in this movie during a party where they kind of do this thing. And
yes,
to me, it was just like,
that was so funny.
I thought it was hilarious. And I was like, wait, did Michael Jackson really like Full Moon High? Like, because it came right after. 1983 is Thriller, and this was 1981. But I don't know how many people saw this. Like, this isn't a big movie for anyone. You know, 1981 is the year of the werewolf. I'm gonna have in a week or so time. I don't know what that means in terms of the show, but like I'm gonna be watching An American Werewolf in London and The Howling, both movies that came out in 1981. Along with this one and Wolfen, all 1981. This is the year of the werewolf, AJ. I will say this one, it's a little bit stronger in terms of alcohol, and I think that's actually why it may have traveled better. Like I think
that makes sense.
I think it's sort of hung together.
Okay, so next time I'll just send you like 10% beers plus.
That's all I drink. Yeah, 10%. Yeah, I'm just lying, so that's what happens. Yeah.
I said put me down, not throw me down.
I did love that dance scene because it was not only funny as a bit, but it was like so like referential that everybody has had that experience of being in a loud place and you're just like, And then everybody is just like, okay, I guess this is the dance move we're doing now. And that's how the Macarena was invented.
That's true. That's all good dances were invented. It was just because people couldn't communicate or hear what the other person was saying. And they were like, oh no, we just communicate through our bodies.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Ricky. This is Ricky's the last person I wanted to glow about. Because Joanne Nail, I looked her up, unfortunately didn't go on to be a star, because I thought when I watched this, I was like, there's Margot Robbie light potential.
Yeah, and her comedic timing was really good.
I think everyone in this movie was all in, which was what, like, every small actor that shows up and just does like a little small thing is just so over the top, so into it, and so great. Like, I just who's this guy?
That's camp, right? Like this is why camp was a bad theme at the Met Gala a few years ago, because people, you don't understand that you're in or you're out. You commit all the way, and you cannot just show up in like a black tuxedo and call that camp. Whereas like, the guy who plays Tony, like, it's just fucking deadpan the entire time. And it's like, oh, woe is me, I'm a werewolf. I guess I should probably let people know. And the best way to do that is, to make a softcore porn.
That was a great delivery. Yeah. And show it in sex ed class. And it was like, it was really tastefully made.
Oh, this is wild. Magic finger.
And then like the police chief comes in and is just watching my porno, and everybody's like, oh, cool. We're not going to arrest the teacher for showing porn to students, but we will arrest the werewolf who is biting people's butts. And we're not even going to like arrest him. We're going to try and get him a book deal.
Yeah. There's like, oh, we got to get this like really famous therapist in here, because this movie's absurd. I'm glad you brought that up. That was a great delivery of it. And the deadpan of Tony is
was
great.
That like a good TLDR?
Yeah.
I thought like even her intro was like so perfect, and like so into the like ridiculousness that they're just sitting on the bleachers, don't even know each other. And Tony's like, oh, hey man, you're a vegetarian? I trust that. Props. Do you want to come over later?
And yeah,
because you're a vegetarian, I'm gonna almost have sex with you and like make you tell everyone I'm a werewolf. Sure, I you know what? There is logic in that.
I thought the logic was very pure. The woman who was
wanted to be his girlfriend, and then like still 20 years later, even though she was married to his best friend, still wanted to sleep with him. See, like, why did that make me feel grosser than like the hot for teacher thing?
Because it was so,
because that was predatory, because she still sees him as like 17, right? And like wants to relive her youth.
Yeah. Yes,
and
exactly. Yes.
But like, I don't know, both like they were both like weird. They're both weird, but that was more like, but I appreciated that at least that was intermittent with like her son, who is actually then 17 and is like, oh, yep, look at those felt calves. Yep, look at those shapely thighs. That's the same guy. I'm not sharing my bedroom with a werewolf, Mom.
The son is so good. When they like all of a sudden start making out and he tells them to like be careful with the couch, which is like, I don't know. I just thought it was great. And Jack, I think his name is Jack, but it's Flynn in IMDb. That might be his last name. The best friend. My favorite thing in this movie, and I'm going to spend an unreasonable amount of time trying to find a way to cut to this happening right now. That is my favorite part of this entire movie. And
that's so specific. Oh, I think my favorite bit from the whole movie was actually when they, after the like werewolf dance, they're trying to find him at the dance, and then the police chief ends up tackling his son instead, who's wearing a gorilla costume.
Hi, Dad. What are you doing in there? Perspiring. No! I mean, why?
And they're all like, what the fuck are you doing, man? This is ridiculous. And he's like, well, like, I can't dance. I'm not cool. So like, I had to have a bit so people think I'm funny and they'll sleep with me. And all of the guys are like, why didn't we think of that in high school? I was like, you know what? I think all of us have had that team moment of like, how do you make yourself stand out among your peers? And like, in a way that makes you attractive to others, because that's like a real big concern when you're 16. Do people like me, and do they like me?
That's AJ. That's why I'm doing this show. I just want people to like me.
I mean, I don't know you in Lily's lives. I don't ask questions.
Oh, that's not what I meant. I just meant more like I'm
sorry. That was meant to be a validating moment. Andy, I like you. You're a good person.
Oh, thank you. See, that was what it is. I just need validation. And I, I like to share drinks with friends and just share friendly moments with friends. And AJ, you are one of the great things about this year. And there's not a lot. Is that we are doing this, and they're like we wouldn't have been. I think. And part of that is because we reconnected after Chris's passing, and thank you so much for the beer. Thank you so much for watching a stupid movie that I know Chris would have enjoyed. You're more fun, AJ. There we go. Than anyone else. Day 11. It's the best of the days.
Yes, if you haven't met me yet and you want to objectively just enjoy yourself and have fun. Yeah. Oh, no, wait, that sounds like a sex ad. Please cut that out.
I'm definitely leaving that in. But I will put a disclaimer that was just a call for friendship. And that's
cannot afford it otherwise.
There we go. Yeah, AJ's too expensive.
Hey, we support sex workers. It's just not my line of business.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't even know how to go from here to the Trevor Project. Yes, I'm doing this for a fundraiser. It's the why I don't know. It's the excuse that I needed to have. And I hate that it's an excuse, but it's sort of like this needed to mean something more than just being with friends, even though being with friends is sort of all you need.
I don't think it's an excuse. I think it's, the cherry on top, that we get to commune around such a great cause, and we are able to enjoy ourselves, but also put forth towards, yesterday was literally World Mental Health Day. So being able to talk about the Trevor Project today, and as you mentioned, on Chris's birthday, it does. It's a little, as the youth say, it hits different.
It feels right too.
Yeah.
Or, that Chris isn't here doesn't feel right.
No,
and that's why we're doing this. But that we are trying to laugh and be together because of it, and in spite of what is hard to do, and that we're doing this on Zoom rather than in person, all those different things. And so I'm very grateful for you, AJ, to be past your bedtime.
Not mine, my dog's.
Okay. All right. Well, Brisket, I'm sorry.
We'll work on forgiving you.
Brisket will work on forgiving me. And the beer was great.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
The commies turned my son into a wolf. I don't know how they did it. Might have been something in the water.
Well, so tomorrow, everyone, thank you for going on this journey, A. And B, if you want to continue, we will be watching the 1979 remake of the original Nosferatu, a 1922 film.
Amazing.
We're going to watch Werner Herzog's version, which is streaming all over the place. It's literally on Peacock, which is sort of weird. Yeah, me and my buddy Kyle will be watching that. And I think, Wolfmandy will be traveling to the mountains of Carpathia to talk about that until the next phase of the moon.
Happy National Coming Out Day. Please support the Trevor Project.
The Call of the Wild. I got a B+ on that report. I'm very big on wolves.
Let's howl at the moon for the friends we miss, the friends we wish were here to see this. Ow, ow, ow!
Do you have something to say?
Ow! Oh, oh. Nope, it's not working. Brisket is not giving it. No, that's because it's not in his contract.
Andy, next time I want to watch Boris Karloff and Abbott and Costello meet, I believe it's Frankenstein, the Wolfman, the Mummy, one of those.
All of them.
All
Yeah.
of them.
I think there's more than one Abbott and Costello, and I love those movies. That was my
Yeah.
favorite as a kid.
Me
for
too.
sure.
See, this is why we're friends.
Aw.